Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. We have a fun technique today, but I'm going to start off with my background. Now, this is a background that I do when I don't know what to do. So when I don't know what kind of background I want, this is just one of those gorgeous, generic, lovely backgrounds that I can do that kind of doesn't take any specialty equipment or stamps or dyes or anything like that. Just a little bit of ink blending and we're away laughing. So I'm going to show you that one today. I'm starting off with a normal 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch piece of paper. I have my trimmer here, but this has a scoring blade on it, and this is what I want to do. I just want to score. You can do this in a normal scoring board as well. It doesn't have to be your trimmer. And I am just going to do 1 inch gaps between my score lines. Now, you will soon find out what you like. You can either do really tiny, but you can do much bigger, even up to 1.5 inches. I think looks really good on this background. But all I'm doing is going to shift that straight line there. So the scored line that I have, I'm going to show you up close. I'm lining that up with a straight line, and that way all my lines are going to be straight from here. So I just put that the already scored line at the 1 inch mark. Make sure it lines up at the top and the bottom, and then I just keep going along. And that means that they're all straight. They're not going to go wonky, and that's one of the reasons why I like doing this in my trimmer. Then I'm going to turn this around and do this directly the other direction. So I'm going to end up with a sort of diamond looking pattern or crisscross pattern. Now, if you are wanting to do this technique, I call it the pillow technique. I'm sure it has a better or proper name, but it just reminds me of little pillows or the back of those old couches. That's what this reminds me of once we're all done. So you don't have to do the score lines, but I just think it adds that little extra bit of texture to it as well. Now, I'm going to take some tumbled glass distress oxide, and I actually have this Gina K blending brush here. Now, this was a freebie from my scrapbook.com order, and traditionally, these brushes and I do not get along very well together. So I'm testing it out here to see how sort of smooth I can get that blend out, because I've not had much luck with these, but I think this one's working for me, so I'm not sure why that's different. In the past, I've tried lots of different brands of these brushes, and I just can't make them work. Everybody else can except for me, but I have the brush and it's working pretty good, so I'm going to stick with it today. Then I'm going to take some mint tape, and I'm going to put one long piece down all the way down there, and then take this piece, and all I want to do is just mask off one little edge, one little square. Now I'm going to speed this up because at this point I'm sort of getting a feel for how much ink I want on here as well. But all I'm going to do is add a little bit of ink sort of down the bottom, down the two bottom sides of my diamond essentially, and all I do is go along, then I stick it down again. I'm just following the score line, so it's not like I have to make sure it's straight or anything. Add a little bit of ink, move on to the next one. Now this whole background took me, I would say it took me a good maybe 5 minutes or so to sort of move it around, do the next one. It didn't take me very long at all, but it definitely is a one-by-one process. I know that sometimes I, in the past, have put like 2 post-it notes or 2 pieces of mint tape, something together, and just sort of kept the V and kept moving it along like that rather than one long piece. So whatever you find works better for you, and then you just sort of do those 2 bottom edges of each of this piece. Now it's sort of sideways at the moment just because for whatever reason that's how I find it easiest to ink up rather than having the panel straight up and down like it should be. But you just keep going along, and this just creates a very neutral background. You can kind of put anything on top of here, but I'm not going to lie, I do love what I ended up choosing, and the very, very last bit at the end is my absolute favorite. I will be doing this again in the future, but you have to wait a minute to see that. And at this point, I didn't really know which colours I was going to be using on my focal point, so I just went with this neutral blue, and I think this works out absolutely fine. It's really light. You can see that some of my little pillows, some of my little diamonds have a little bit darker ink blending than others. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you want to, you can go over and kind of do a couple of them again. I came back to a couple and added a little bit more ink, but truly, you really don't notice when it's in the background, but it creates this very sort of dimensional look, which I absolutely love. As I said, no stamps, no dyes, which makes it a happy, fun background to create. Now, this is the Trinity Stamps Celebration Cupcake. I know I've used this one a few times, but again, this gorgeous big cupcake is fun. And it's a smaller stamp set, so that just means that it has a lower price point, which is what I need and love. And I'm going to ink this up with some VersaFine Onyx black ink. Now, this will teach me a lesson here because I just stamp my stamp, press it down, and then when I look at the image, I can actually see that there is a big blob in the middle and there is something stuck to my stamp. So I probably should have had a quick look before I inked it up, but that will teach me. So you can see that gorgeous big glob there. I'll show you. It was just a little piece of plastic or something that was stuck to it. So I will just ink it up again and then do it on the other side of the paper. And that's okay because it'll end up being a practice cupcake for my colouring anyway. Or I'll give it to one of the kids and they probably won't notice. So once I have my gorgeous cupcake stamped, I actually pulled out the candle as well from the same stamp set, and I'm going to pop a couple of these. I usually do a couple because I wasn't sure on colours, as I said. I really only need one, but I am going to stamp out a couple, and that means that just like that one I didn't stamp very well there, if I ruin one, I've got another one ready to go. Now, this is just something I like doing. I like putting clear embossing powder over top. It sort of means that I don't have to worry about smudging it. I don't have to worry about which markers or water or any products that I put over top. I know I can't smudge it at all because usually I haven't planned out my cards. I usually don't know the direction that I'm going in, and I really do wing it a little bit. So at this point I was like, I'll try alcohol marker colouring, even though not my forte. So I have the blue turquoise blend and the purple blend. These are the Spectrum Noir TriBlend markers, so they have 3 different markers in each barrel, and as I've said in the past, this is exactly what I need because this means I don't have to worry about shades or finding out, you know, a light, a medium and a dark in every colour. I just pick up the pen and it automatically has 3 colours. Now this comes in a set of 24. You can absolutely buy them separate as well, but of course that means I technically get 72 markers, so a really good range, and I bought the pack when there was a little special on of 24 markers, so that worked out really well for me, and that makes my life a whole lot easier because I honestly don't really even have the patience for testing out the markers. I guess I would do swatches and things, but again, that's not really me. I did a light brown here for the chocolate cupcake, but I went over it with a bit of a darker brown. I think that looks better. Add in some little speckles for some texture of the cupcake. And then honestly, my colouring is so basic because it's not, as I said, it's not something I am good at, but I just sort of do enough to get through. I put one light layer of the lightest ink on everything, and then I come in with a little bit darker around those little, where the shadows would be, where it's kind of slumped down, all that gorgeous icing. And then I just, you know, blend it out a little bit with another colour, or blend it out with the lightest one, whichever one I feel comfy with, and it ends up looking not too bad. Now this cupcake, when I fussy cut this out, this is the perfect example of why you should always go around the edges with a black marker. Because this cupcake actually has, some of the spaces have pretty fine black lines, some of them are a little bit thicker going around the outside, but even though this is a pretty easy image to fussy cut, it's not too tricky, you can still see I have a white border left there, even though I thought I was cutting up against the edge, so you can see some white cardstock sort of poking in from the edges. But when you do this, see there's the white border up and down there, and then when I take this pen and I come in from the back and I just glide it around the outside of the image, and it just makes your fussy cutting look so much better. It makes it look like the image, you've perfectly cut it out. And it's really speedy to go over all those straight lines and then just let the pen sort of glide up the side there, and it looks 10 times better. Now I have also fussy cut out this little candle, again not too tricky, yellow flame, and then some orange and the blue that I used in the base of the cupcake as well. So just really, really simple and easy. All of the elements of this card are actually pretty easy, and it's just the mixture of them all together that I think makes a really, really cool card. Now this is the Celebrate from the exact same little stamp set. Now I did 2 because at this point I wasn't sure what I wanted, which is not unusual. I just cut with my Tim Holtz long bladed scissors, cut relatively close, and then one of these I'm going to add a black little border just like a hand-drawn little, almost scribbly little border, and then one of them I am not. And you can tell me at the end, because I was really indecisive about which one I wanted to choose to go on the final card, but at the end I switch in both of them, and you can let me know which one you think I should have chosen. But at this point I just wasn't sure. So if I have one of each, then that makes life easy. So these are the ModaScrap framed rectangles. I'm loving these at the moment. I'm going to run one through with my panel, and they just add something a little bit extra to what otherwise is a relatively straightforward and plain card. So I'm really loving this. This biggest one here cuts just ever like a hair thinner than 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And if I lift this up on some foam tape, then you really get to see all of those gorgeous little holes around the edge, and I really like that. So I just took a piece of foam tape, I took the backing release paper off it, and that way I can just curve it around all of the corners, fill in those extra little pieces, and then this can go down on my 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card base. And with the foam tape, that makes the little edge parts stand out even more. Now, this is where I'm just going to kind of put everything together. I'm adding some more foam tape for the cupcake because this card is going to be hand delivered, so I didn't have to be afraid of any dimension or too much dimension. That gorgeous big bright cake straight in the middle, and you can see that pillow background is just the gorgeous amount of texture and sort of subtle background without overtaking anything. I really, really like that technique for when I'm not sure what to do. Pop the candle up the top, press down the cupcake because now I know I want it to be there. And this is where I was almost certain at the time that I wanted this one. But then when I was like, I just really like that it's a bit more bold. But now that I'm editing it and doing the voiceovers, I definitely think I made the right choice. But you can let me know down below if you think I made the right choice or not. Now, as is, I love this cupcake. But I have this little packet of sprinkles here. Now, this is actually like mini penguins and little balls and snowflakes. It's sort of a winter themed little thing here, but it does have these little white sprinkles in here. Now, I don't keep too many of these sorts of packs on hand, hence why I really had to pick through and see if I had anything. But these little white sprinkles I'm going to add onto my cupcake, and this is what I think takes this to the next level. So I'm just adding some tiny little dots of the Ranger Multi-Medium in the matte finish. That's the glue that's inside that glue bottle. You want a nice strong glue so that these do not fall off. So you want a decent amount of glue behind it, and so that it doesn't so that even when it dries, you can't see it squish out the sides, but also that it's going to hold it in place. Now, this is the Stardust pen, and someone let me know that these were going out of stock or they are not being made anymore, so it's whatever stock is left. So if you find these, grab one, because look at this. When I move it in the light, it just creates gorgeous dimension, and it's but when it's not in the light, you also can't see it, so I sort of like that about them. So it adds a gorgeous little element to this finished card today. I hope you have enjoyed this card making session. I hope that you give the little pillow background a go. And thank you so much for joining me. As usual, I will have links to all of the products used in today's video down below. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate leaving comments. Let me know in the comment section down below which of these sentiments you would have chosen. But other than that, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.